I wanted to talk about not just some of the buildings that we've done, but some of the things that we've been seeing as we go through this journey. Some people are saying, how do we get smart? How does this happen? How do we get started? What are some of the key successes that you've seen with the buildings that are doing so well? And that's what we're all about, right? We're a network that's very, very wide, and it includes a lot of different stakeholders. So we want to share expertise, we want to share successes, because we think smarter buildings are better buildings. So we really want to help everybody make big changes in their building. So I'm going to do a little bit of a sneak peek of a workshop we're doing with CBRE next month about how to get started. You know, we have the best partners in the business. You know, we have CBRE, JLL, Colliers, Siemens, all of those guys, and we really want to help them in any way we can and work with them in that way. So we're doing a little sneak peek of how to get started.
Cool, very good. Well, we have till 3 o'clock, so we have 20 more minutes. So please fill them up as much as you can.
Okay, and then maybe we can talk a little bit at the end, last couple of minutes. Good?
I will listen to you.
All right, okay, let's go. So thank you all for listening, and I think this can be helpful. I hope this can be helpful. Oh, we got somebody else. Okay, there we go. Hello. One of the things that we really want to focus on in this process is begin with the end in mind. So a lot of people want to ask, what is smart? How do we have a smart building? And it's a very big, very intimidating process to go from a building that doesn't have smart technology to a building that's very smart, extremely smart, or covers all of the bases. So we really recommend a workshop and just getting together and saying, you know, what is this? And so first question that I think is the most important is, what are you trying to accomplish? Because if you go into this saying we want a smart building, that's a very loaded statement. And what does that mean? And what does that mean to different people? So are you trying to save money, first off? That's one of the things that we see as a really easy thing to start doing. Whenever you're trying to get stakeholders involved, and I'll talk about stakeholders in a minute, saving money is always a good part of building a really good business plan and a business model for what you want to do. Or do you want to make money? One of the things that we're seeing is that there's possibility with technologies to increase your profits, increase cash flow, different things like this. We had a great building in Switzerland that was a restaurant. And one of the things that they used, incredibly smart building, and one of the things that they used was a airport technology, so a flow technology, to actually measure where people are at any given second. And what they ended up doing was using all available seats the maximum amount of time. So this is something, and I don't know about you, I get really annoyed sitting in a restaurant just looking at a bunch of reserved tables for 20 minutes or half an hour and seeing that, you know, I'm not happy as a customer. This is not being used to the best of its ability. You have a certain amount of people that you can fit in that meal window of lunch or dinner, and you really want to maximize that occupancy. So this is something that we saw just a huge success with, that they're absolutely optimizing profits and they're making more money. And this is also something, when we look at occupancy in buildings, something that we really want to see more of, where occupancy rates were low before COVID. So how do we use the space efficiently? How do we increase our revenue? How do we use technology like that? Or do you want to change the business plan? We worked with YIT in Finland that completely changed the business plan of a co-working space to maximize the hours, really played with the numbers, and then upped the amenities and the smart technology. So they were hitting numbers from multiple aspects, and they increased their occupancy because of how they overbooked, also a lot like the airplane industry. So there's always ways we can learn from other industries. But how do we look at our business plan in a more creative way? We have the option to use a ton of data to make extremely informed decisions, conduct experiments with this, and absolutely change the way that we do business and improve it. So saving money is a huge thing. Do you want to reach your sustainability goals, your health goals? different business goals that you have. Just like I was talking about your business model, do you have certain amount of rent that you want to achieve? Do you want to go for this? Do you have certain things that you want to go for? We can absolutely help with that with different technologies and that. Do you want to get a competitive edge? Whether you want to be known for having smart buildings, whether you want to be in this network of early adopters, or I guess there's not early adopters anymore, some people who've been in the industry a really long time. Do you want to get into this area and become known as having smart buildings and knowing about smart buildings and being to that? And then elevating the value of smart buildings. Do you want to sell your buildings for more? This is something that we're seeing more and more, which is very exciting. And it's something that we're working with the banks to make official, but it's something that we're just seeing happen organically. And that's incredibly exciting. And it's something that I think will always push the real estate market, right? Better sales and higher sales. And then with all that, there is a PR and a marketing opportunity. When you're doing things to reach your sustainability goals, change the way that you do business, using technology, setting up different experiments, there's a huge opportunity for marketing in this area and PR. We have had some extreme success with putting out some press releases and trying to educate with different white papers and talking about what's going on in the market. There's a huge appetite for hearing about this and connecting with this right now. So what do you want to accomplish is the first thing. Second is, how quickly can you move? So one of the things that we're looking at is being realistic. If you have all the technology set up, if you have a huge budget or a budget for this, if you have all stakeholders on board, amazing. You can move quite quickly if you know that the technologies work together and you know what you want to do. That's not the case for most situations. So what do you want to, what milestones do you want to put in this, and what do you want to accomplish along the way, and just being realistic about how fast you can move in this area, and maybe if it's not fast enough, pushing back and saying, we need to change the way that we're doing this. One of the reasons that might stop things from moving quickly, what stakeholders are involved. So this is a huge industry. It's one that includes people from pretty much all walks of life. And it also means that the stakeholders involved in smart buildings are very wide, and often wider than we even realize. So who is involved in this decision, and how do we represent their interest? How do we get them on board, and how do we move forward as a team in a way that makes sense and makes sense in the best way? Next is putting together the business case. The nice thing about technology is you can get really concrete with the numbers. You can look at the costs, you can look at some of the things that you're seeing, and you're going to need a business case of putting together what you want to do, how you want to do it, all of that. And then develop with the team a timeline and milestones along that timeline. So what do we want to accomplish? What do we want to say about that accomplishment? And if we accomplish that, do we get the budget from the next part of this process? And can we move forward? One of the nice things about getting more concrete and not saying, let's have a smart building, and saying, this is what we're going to do first. This is going to be great for financials. This is going to be great for our war on talent. This is going to be great for our market and PR opportunities. This is going to open a lot of doors to then get the budget to go to the next phase and say, we're successful at this. This is working. Let's keep going. And opening that up. Now, one great example that we worked with was Hammer Brooklyn in Germany, a building that recently was certified platinum, and a fantastic building, one that we're going to talk about later in the day. And I'm just going to do a little teaser, but one thing that was really, really great about this building, about this case, is that it didn't use a lot of technology. Now, one thing that we said when we were developing the smart building certification is we didn't want it to be a checklist of whoever spent the most, whoever had the most technologies wins. It should be about problems you're solving or opportunities that you're making. So it's really solution-based. Now, Hammer Brooklyn is a fantastic case because it doesn't use very many technologies. It uses less than 10. I think it uses 6, but it does an amazing amount of things. And it also works, all of the technology works together. And it also works in a similar platform for that constant learning, for something that is ongoing. Now, one of the things that I'm trying not to take too much of the attention from the talk that's coming up next, but when you think about this, I would say one of the biggest and most important steps, once you kind of get this process and you know what you're doing, is doing some experiments or at least confirming that your technologies work together and work with whatever platform you're using to view your information. So one of the things that would be such a shame is if you had a smart building where the data to look at what was going on was really hard to see, wasn't user friendly, wasn't something that your facility manager could use, wasn't something that could be regularly applied, and seeing what are the trends, what is our square footage that we're not optimizing in the right way, what are our missed opportunities here, where is the waste that we're spending in our building that we could be reducing, we could be achieving even higher sustainability goals. So looking at that, and once you confirm that that's together, you have an amazing situation where you have a unit and something that works much more like a brain than a bunch of wires kind of all going in every direction. But so what I recommend is really getting involved, either doing, and Hammer Brooklyn did this through a living lab. They have their own living lab where they test technologies, they test that they work together, and they test that they work with whatever system that they're going to put in. So they really have a good understanding of what this is going to look like. It's also a great way to get stakeholders on board, doing something small, having a testing area. It's also very hip to have a lab in your office or that right now. You can show people some of the experiments you're doing, and it's a lower cost than doing the entire building. So the risk is very low and the X factor is high. So my favorite combination. Then one of the things that we also recommend is use certified partners. So something that we just launched was a solution certification with smart building certification. These are solutions where the technology that they're putting together and the data that comes out of it will contribute to the certification. You can look at how it will, to what extent, and in what areas. We certify every area of the building separately. So sometimes people do really, really well in their building for, let's say, environment, my favorite area. Of course, I'm non-biased. But environment, let's say with COVID, you really wanted to show that you're taking care of the air quality, you're looking at the environment, you're looking at the health of that. And so that's an area that you leaned in really, really hard. And so you have maybe a platinum in health and environment, and maybe some other areas like sustainability are more at a gold level or that kind of thing. So you have different for different areas. You can really know that you're doing well in some areas. You can brag about that. You can show people that level, and you can also use the other ones as a learning to get ideas about what's going on. What do you want to do next? Put that all together. So use certified partners. We also love matching buildings with great technology companies. We are seeing some trends where there's some key winners that are really leaning into this, and some reliable partners that we know can handle the size of your project, which is such a nice, necessary thing in doing that. And then the certification, we can help. So what I just told you was quite quite a lot, and it's a big process, and that's what I think I want to lean into the most. This is a process, and when you're done and you have a smart building, you need to look at things for continuous improvement. You need to look at things to future-proof your building, and you need to have a change management process for getting people involved with your system and becoming experts in your system, so that when they see these opportunities for improvement, when they see things that might be going wrong or that are highlighted, they can jump to it and they can continuously improve your building. That's what data does. It gives us information that we can then act on. And there's some fantastic people who really understand this right now, but it is an ongoing process. It's getting smarter and easier and more transparent all the time. So getting people involved with this is just a logical next step, but it is an evolving and ongoing process. And we at Smart Building Certification believe that we want to be involved throughout this whole process. We have an amazing network, the biggest network in the world for how we deal with this and what we're looking into smart buildings from a huge range of specialities, of industries. It's such an exciting thing, and there's so much value to be added from different areas. So the network and sharing what we're doing is really, really powerful. And within that comes help along the way. How do we do this best? What has other people done? How do we, where are we now? We've done some incredibly smart buildings, but we've also done buildings that are just on their journey that want to see how they stack up now, make some of the suggested changes that we put in, and working with some of the experts that we work with, and then finalizing the certification and seeing that they've done a great, they've put a great product together. So that's how I'm going to end this little talk. I think I stayed within the timeline even to chat with Voucher afterwards, but good luck on your journey. You are not alone. We have an amazing community here, and I'm very excited about what we can do and how we can top each other too. I think that's part of the fun of doing something amazing and interesting. It's that someone else might come to do something else, and we have to up our game again and do something incredible together. So let's tell stories, let's work together, and yeah, Smart Building Certification. Voucher, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is lots to do, of course.
Yeah.
We just at a starting point.
It's really fun to see what's going on. It's really fun to see to hear some of the stories after certification. We've stayed in touch with everyone, of course, to hear we sold this at a higher price. We got more tenants for this. We sold out. We lowered some of our expenses. Just some of the things where these buildings are amazing, but just hearing their ongoing success is really, really exciting.
Yeah, and a lot of buildings are there to be made smart and healthy.
Yes, we need smarter buildings.
We need smarter buildings. Yeah, that's also one of the quotes from Edge. I guess the world needs better buildings.
Yeah, I love that saying, and I think it's true. I think, part of what we're seeing is some buildings that can really afford it, but we're also seeing buildings that just know that they need to improve. And whether they have help from the government, which has been a global initiative, which is so nice, but there's a lot of buildings just getting involved in this and seeing, how they can improve.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. You talked also about the next or the session after the next session with Nicholas White and Felix Brinkman from Art Invest. Really looking forward to that session as well about where to start and what we can learn from Art Invest.
And education is such a big part of what Art Invest does. They're involved in their community. They believe in storytelling. And I think it's really wonderful that they're sharing some of the successes of what worked for them. They have such an amazing business model of a very lean, very effective, smart building. And I think that's something that people have kind of been waiting for and also nervous to try to do themselves, because it does take some, it takes a little bit of strategy in there and getting it right. So I think it's really, really great to hear that. And I can't wait for that session, actually.
Me neither. But first we go, thank you very much, Elizabeth. Speak to you soon.
All right, take care.
Take care.